So we
Wow.
talk about speaking life. You're speaking life all the time. So look at how you talk about these things. Look at how you're talking about your health with other people. It shows up and the body like changes. It changes with it. So yes, with the telomeres and the testing and stuff, the fact that even the telomeres, because they would say suggest retests. So if they're suggesting a retest, guess what that means? That means it can change.
Right.
So that means that's more epigenetics. So
Okay.
with epigenetics, it's not a I'm born, this is what you got. Like it's no, it means that certain choices in life and your experiences can actually activate or deactivate some of the coding and programming that's done with the cells. And so if you go and let's say you get the testing and it tells you this biological age, and then you implement some changes and you get it retested, you'll see what changes, like what happens in the telomere part.
Okay.
And but like I said, it's that whole do a self check. How much power are you going to put into a test,
Okay.
right? Into determining what your life as you age is going to be.
Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Unapologetically 50 Plus. My name is Angela. So today we're going to talk about what really speeds up or slows down aging. Today we're breaking down what actually speeds up the aging process and what can slow it down, from your cells to your gut to your daily habits. And today my guest, she's a holistic health practitioner. She's been on here before, Denicia Hilton-Harper, and we'll peel back some of the layers of what it really means to age well, how our cells, emotions, and daily choices shape longevity and vitality. But before we get started, I have one huge favor to ask. If you find any value or enjoy the content, please remember to like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow on Spotify. And if you're already listening on Spotify, please leave a rating or review. This helps other women find this space. And most importantly, share this with a woman who might enjoy our conversations. I truly appreciate your support. All right, let's get this conversation started. Hey, Miss. Hi, how you doing, Denicia?
Great. How are you? You know, I'm
I'm
like,
great.
oh, I love our conversation. So I'm
I
like,
know. My hair
oh,
is gonna messed up my hair.
oh, it looks so good.
Thank you,
I'm not
love.
gonna lie, you look like you're gonna set it off. What? Looking good at it too.
Thank you, dear. So, this is your third time on here. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're my regular guest. I like
Yeah.
that. But you come with all the information. So, and especially when we're talking about health and holistic practices, that's right up my alley. I could just listen for hours. So, but today, I thought it was important to talk about the aging process. And I never want to say that um, we won't age, because we all know we're going to age. But I think it's always good for us to know and try and understand what speeds up the aging process, besides smoking, drinking, and all that stuff that we've heard in the past. We're talking about on a cellular level, and even how our emotions play into this speeding up the process of aging.
Yeah.
So what I want to get started is with the telomeres, because I've heard so much about telomeres, but I still don't understand. And how can we keep our telomeres from shortening and blah, blah, blah? So, and I know before we came on, you said, well, I'll talk about it a little bit, but we'll see how much information. But like I said, I already know you come with so much, a wealth of information that we're going to learn with whatever information you give us. We're going to learn something today. So,
Yay.
but before we get started on that,
Mhm.
asking the questions, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, yes, great. So, hey y'all. Thanks so much, Angela, like for real, for having me back. I'm so excited. Because I just feel like this group of listeners of yours are just amazing.
Right.
But then plus two, just so many perspectives. And that's what I love about coming and chatting with you is because I feel like the women at this time like are really like the veil is coming down and a lot of thoughts and beliefs and feelings about yourself, including with aging, is all coming to the surface. And it's a lot of questioning, it's a lot of confusion, right? And all of that. And so I just really enjoy coming to be able to share what it is that I can share, which for y'all, I'm Denicia. Um, and my background is actually is practicing as a doctor of Eastern medicine, as a holistic well-being consultant, medical intuitive as well. Holistic health education is one of my biggest things. I'm finding myself saying lately, I educate so you can advocate. And that's for yourself,
Right.
not just in the healthcare industry, but you'll
Mhm.
find that you're doing it in all areas of your life, right? Like
Right.
when you begin to learn the spiritual, mental, and emotional aspects of what's showing up physically, you then see, oh, this is definitely about the relationship that I have
Right.
with myself and the relationship with other people. And so basically, that's what it is that I do. And so when I say holistic well being, it really is that oftentimes it's something that's a physical symptom or condition that's calling attention. So it may be things we're dealing with the menstrual cycle, perimenopause, menopause itself, postmenopause, but you're still feeling like all the hormonal stuff that's and it can be confusing and complex, right?
Right.
And so I just kind of come in there with, like I said, that spiritual, mental, and emotional aspects as well as the physical. So it really is a holistic perspective of just how it is that we can connect the dots. And then from there, you can identify the tools that support you versus being like a blanket protocol, if you
Right.
will. But you'll find that you're going to learn more about yourself in the process. So then that way, as the stressors continue to come about, you know what it is to do and you trust yourself, right? Like it's all in reframing the relationship with the whole body.
Right. Right. So let's start with
Mhm.
this telomere shortening and how it impacts our aging. So for those who may not be familiar, can you explain what telomeres are?
Yes. So, in simplest forms, the telomeres, if you take your DNA, they're at the end, so they usually call them the end caps, quote unquote. And so as our cells, though, and I'm going to say this because I feel like some people don't know this. They think that, oh, this is what I have. Like this is the body that I am walking in. This is my vessel, and they think that's it. And the thing is actually not so. Your body is regenerating all the time. And it's regenerating in different places and at different times. So I say that to offer some hope and finding comfort that when it might seem like, oh, I can do this little thing, it's not going to change anything. I'm telling you, it's going to change things. Okay. So, like literally being able to do, even if it's a little bit of breath work, right? Or if it is a meditation, being able to focus your breath and doing it on a count, even if it's like an inhale of 4 and then holding for 5 and exhale for 6,
Hmm.
sometimes even exhale up to 8, that actually is supporting cellular regeneration as well as calming down one part of your nervous system while amping up the other one. So it's like things that seem like they're very simple, they actually are making huge, what I like to call like butterfly moments. Like because it's the butterfly effect. It's that whole one little one little tweak is going to have massive changes. And so I always ask, you know, what changes that you're looking for.
Right.
So because
Right.
you are going to do a change, it's just which direction would you like to go, right? So with the telomeres, there are these end caps. So then I say that because then what happens is as cells actually get born, they do their function, well, you hope they do their function and you're hoping that they do it optimally, then they're supposed to die. And then when they die, we actually get rid of it. And so there's like the physical component of that. And I want to say even then, I know some of y'all going around like, exfoliate. I gotta exfoliate my skin, right? Like and all of this. That's cellular regeneration. Like literally you're getting the most superficial layers off,
Mm-hmm.
which even just the movement and the massaging of it is actually promoting fluids to move around. It's depuffing. The reason why it's puffing is because it's stagnated. So
Okay.
that's why there's all those gua sha techniques and all of that jazz, right? Like
Right.
for the face and face yoga and
Right.
acupuncture needles, like all of that, right? They're all
Right.
promoting movement in the face. And what it's doing is it's encouraging the cells that are already dead or they're supposed to be, it's time for them to die, that it helps them move along. And then we have the ones that are now coming about that they come up and they start doing their job.
Okay.
Now, most of the time when we're thinking of regeneration and reproductive, we're thinking ovaries.
Right.
And right. And so like it's, oh yeah, we're programming the follicles and the eggs so that information is passed along because you'll hear that through ancestral healing and like all of that stuff, right? Well, like I said, cells are regenerating and different ones are regenerating all the time. So you're encoding all the time. So even
Ah,
as you're exfoliating, they would have already sent a message. The ones that you exfoliated off, they would have sent a message saying, hey, you might want to be prepared for this. And then because the new ones are going to be born, quote unquote, for lack of better words, and
right.
then do their function, right? So this is why sometimes you'll see as you implement any changes, some things you might see faster than others.
Hmm.
So you might see something change in a skin in your skin. One of the things that I look at are ways that we express. So when I say expression, it's anything that comes out of you. And that includes the way that the urine comes out, way bowel movements come out, if you're still bleeding, the way that comes out, the way that you're breathing, the odor that may come off of your skin, right? Like even in your face. So ways that things come out is information of what's in. So they're
Okay.
reflections. So when we think about telomeres, yes, they are on these end caps. And like the whole notion is, well, they've noticed that as people would age, the telomere length would get shorter and shorter. And then they said, well, if they're getting shorter, we're also seeing that there might be more chronic conditions that are being diagnosed or
Oh.
cancers are diagnosed, right? And so the research with that's going on in that landscape is, a lot of the times with research, you're trying to see, is it cause and effect or is it just correlation or is it just, oh, we just happen to see this, right? So like a lot of that research is exploring, what could be behind the shortening. And so some may opt to do telomere testing because it's said the way that it's told to people is we can see your biological age based on the how the telomeres are. And this is the thing, y'all. I'm like, go and get the testing done. If you want to explore, go ahead. And this isn't just for this test. I'm like this with any tests, actually. I do like to ask, and I'm assessing, why are you doing this? What are you looking for? And then also, I'm looking at what type of effect it may have on the way that you believe or think about your own healing. I say this because there are there are studies, and Dr. Joe Dispenza has discussed this. Dr. Bruce Lipton has discussed this. Lynn McTaggart. Sometimes people would be feeling so good, feeling so great, get a test, and that test now has a connotation that you would feel you shouldn't be feeling that way. And then people start to switch the way that they think or believe about themselves. And now they don't feel great anymore. And
Mm,
there, Dr. Dispenza has even talked about some of them where they would even do scans and tumors have shrank, but then go and read an article about said tumor and how it's supposed to quote unquote be like. And next thing you know, the tumor's larger. And so there's a nocebo like there's a placebo effect. So that's why I was saying that's my big preface when it comes to this is
right.
if you want to know, really check your within yourself, where are you at? Like if you got this test and it says, OMG, seems like your body's like that of a 92-year-old, like all of a sudden,
Right.
are you, it's like, is your behavior gonna change? Like, and
Right.
and when I say that, even exploring what you believe is aging. So that's another thing that I wanted to point out because you have mentioned it earlier in the intro. As far as like what is aging, what does that look like? So even if that's an exercise for yourself, who, where is that based in? That what observations were you making that you didn't even know you were possibly making? Like, were
Right.
you always around people that they were like always complaining about the aches and the pains, or
Right.
they were talking about comparing surgeries and drugs and things?
Right.
Or
Right.
were you around the people that were like, hey girl, we planning to go and do this walk at this park every week, or we're gonna go do this. Like, so it's really taking an observation and state in a look at the environment. I call it, it's a type of environment that you're in. And Dr. Mario Martinez, who studies centenarians, that was a key thing with him in observations was who they were around and
Mm,
their belief in what aging was and what it looked like.
right.
And that changed biomarkers. When I say biomarkers, I'm talking their blood tests and whatnot. So,
Really?
yes. So even when you mentioned like smoking, I think it was like, yeah, it was smoking and drinking playing a role in aging, right? Actually, Dr. Martinez's research found that some people were regular smokers. They were regular drinkers.
So you're saying it's more how you perceive aging that could possibly trigger more aging?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that also, here's another parallel, menopause.
Uh,
There was some, I'm trying to remember her name, but she's over in the UK because she and I had a discussion about this maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. And she was saying, yeah, in the research that she found, the perception of menopause played a role in how one experienced menopause. So we
wow.
talk about speaking life. You're speaking life all the time. So look at how you talk about these things. Look at how you're talking about your health with other people. It shows up and the body like changes. It changes with it. So, yes, with the telomeres and the testing and stuff, the fact that even the telomeres, because they would say suggest retests. So if they're suggesting a retest, guess what that means? That means it can change.
Right.
So that means that's more epigenetics. So
Okay.
with epigenetics, it's not a I'm born, this is what you got. Like it's no, it means that certain choices in life and your experiences can actually activate or deactivate some of the coding and programming that's done with the cells. And so if you go and let's say you get the testing and it tells you this biological age, and then you implement some changes and you get it retested, you'll see what changes, like what happens in the telomere part.
Okay.
And but like I said, it's that whole do a self check. How much power are you going to put into a test,
Okay.
right? Into determining what your life as you age is going to be.
So, so you just
It's a
talked
lot.
about the epigenetics, but so how much control do we actually have over the rate of our telomere shortening? Do we have any?
I mean, I don't know how much, but I do believe we do.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, it shows up in the, like a lot of the recommendations that would come up when you do those testing all have to do with lifestyle. Like one
Okay.
of the, like Dr. Shen, whose lineage, Shenhammer lineage is what I came into. Dr. Shen would say the medicine in the life. So we look
Mm.
at the life to see what is contributing, what's influencing into what we're seeing, but then also the medicine to harmonize is also in the life. So
Mm.
you see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
like you would then go and look at, yeah, what are the influences? Like what is happening? What types of food? And it's not even, I know that their food does play a role. And yes, it is what we're eating, but it's also how, right? Like there's a difference there.
What do you
And
mean by how?
like for instance, for some people, eating colder foods, raw foods is their jam. They can just do it and then
That's
and
my
everything's
sister.
all
She loves her
right. Like
cold food. I'm like,
yeah, you're right. But then for others, it needs to be warm. It might need to be hot. Even down to lighting. Some people that their blueprint, if you will, is more conducive to them being in quieter spaces that might actually be darker. So
mm,
those are the type of people that would be like, yeah, I eat late at night before going to bed, and then they feel really good. Like there's no issues.
okay.
But other people who do that would probably gain weight. They can't sleep well, like all of that jazz, right? So, and one of the tools that well, there's a couple of them. One of them is through the lens of Chinese medicine that I'll use for that. But then also I use human design as a way to also take a look at just what are the environments that support digestion. And that's digestion on a physical level, but then just digestion of life, right? It is also shown in there. So it's really looking at, oh, what are those environments? And oh, the reason why too, I wanted to bring this up too, because this plays a role. Like when I brought up the smoking and the drinking, and then Dr.
Mhm.
Martinez showed, like he was talking about, like, no, there were centenarians that were still doing they smoke, they had their cigar, the ones that were drinking their wine. The difference, really big difference, was meaning behind it. So, and what I liken to, we here create habits, and I'm asking people to create ritual.
Mm. Okay.
So there's a difference. When you create a ritual, you're really putting in some meaning. You really see why you're consciously choosing that, right? When people go to create habits, I mean, straight off from out the gate, create the habit so that you can just do it mindlessly.
Okay.
So you see, like, even with that, it's like, ooh, we're not even like trying to encourage conscious living. We're suggesting to people to go about and just create the things that you can just do without really thinking about it.
Mm.
And so that can show up in the way that we eat. If you're indulging in the cigars and anything else too, right? Like, and the drinking, it's asking you to see why. Like if it is because you're using it to deal with stress, you're using it to deal with a traumatic experience, or anything like that, it will show up differently in the body than someone who is Sunday dinners is so rich. Like it might be rich foods, but they are surrounded by family and conversation, or that I'm sitting on my porch, rocking back and forth with my glass of wine for that night, like watching the stars, feeling the breeze. Both camps were using the same tool, but the reason why was different. And so that being around family that they love, right? That they enjoy being around, because that is a big difference for a lot of people. That they enjoy being around. And then that whole like, sitting on the porch and rocking back and forth kind of thing, like you're actually engaging that parasympathetic side of your body. You're in that relaxed state. It's not a chronic stressor state of loops of a traumatic experience. I'm hypervigilant, shallow breathing. I'm doing all these things. I'm just trying to cope and calm myself. So I'm going to go and eat this. I'm going to go and drink that. I'm going to go and smoke this.
Wow. Okay.
You're putting that in to a vessel that is already trying to deal with stressors.
Mm,
And so that compound and mix shows up differently.
okay.
You see what I mean when I say like
Yeah, I do.
there's like that
Yes.
difference. And so it
Yes.
was really, really cool to see what he was finding with those centenarians that were still, living it up. Because,
Yeah.
and it may have been like a quarter of a cigar, not a full cigar. So like it was different because it was just slower paced. They were just really with it, present, that kind of thing. And so with all of that, it's like, yeah, just take a self-assessment. What are you engaging in? And are you really trying to make it a habit so that you are going about in life mindlessly?
Mm. That's why I like having you on here. You make me think. You make me really think. Like, I'm gonna have to start thinking, why do I have my cup of coffee in the morning? That's my
That,
ritual. That's my ritual. I mean,
yeah.
it's just a part of, after my meditation, I like to have my coffee and sometimes I'll take my dog for a walk but that's part of that ritual. And now I have to start thinking about it. What's the intentionality behind that?
Mm,
So
yeah.
now I'm gonna have to
And
start thinking.
it's not like so it's not like oh, this is good, this is bad. Like I don't try to present anything like that, right? Like,
Right.
because I'm sure, Angela, you can go and speak to somebody and they'll be like, oh my gosh, coffee, the demon, right? Like, but here's the thing. This is also a part of the cultural sensitivity. For some people, coffee is a part of their culture,
Right.
right? Like their
Right.
ethnic culture.
Right.
And so that is the case. Now, if I were to be working with somebody and I do this assessment and I'm like, I wonder if we do that the terrain, so their body in the state that it's in right now, is it possible that we could temporarily suspend it just to observe and see, right,
Mm-hmm.
what might
Mm-hmm.
happen?
Right.
And so it's like I'm very particular about that. Like I'm wanting to respect what it is that they're doing. And what's cool is you get to hear the stories as to why, like once they start thinking about why do they really do it, and
Right.
they're coming out with all sorts of things that it might have been like their grandma or their uncle or something like that. And like,
Right.
and they have these memories, right? And so if the body is saying something different, that it may not be able to support that right now, then not only is it we might temporarily suspend it, it's a choice that they still have sovereign choice. I just merely present what I'm seeing, right?
Right.
And let's just say they temporarily do it. At the same time, we also are exercising the choice of connecting and being connected to those people, but in a different way.
Okay.
So then it might, because oftentimes some of the ones that find it very difficult, it might be a memory with someone that they might have passed. And so then it becomes, "Oh, let's like tell me about them. What other things did you used to do together?"
Right.
Right. And so now we can actually identify another way that you can still maintain this connection with them
Right.
while exercising for yourself right now. We're gonna like temporarily suspend this and let's see what happens.
See what happens.
And
Right.
yeah. And so it's I wanted to say that because I know I'm out there in this holistic health street. You got people talking about you should do this. I'm not going to tell you what you should or you shouldn't do. You have sovereign choice. I will present recommendations. And then there's always the, oh, that's bad. That's good. Like,
Right.
no, you, by maintaining neutrality, then I feel like it allows people to be more open to other choices that might work for them. And based on what camp or who you're talking to, one person may label that as bad, the other one might label that as good. This one might say that's healthy, and the other one might say that's not healthy. So, because it all depends on who you're around.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah.
and that's why you need to just know you and the tools and ways to assess for yourself what's going on. So
Hmm.
then that way, as you experiment, then your baseline is you. It's not someone else.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. So can practicing mindfulness and meditation or even community connection influence your telomere health? As
Definitely.
def, okay. Yeah, and you kind of
Definitely.
touched upon
Definitely.
that. You did kind of touch upon that. So,
Yep.
um, do you think emotional health and spiritual well-being are underestimated in the science of aging?
Yes. I really do. Now, in some parts of it, in some sections of it, they are actually including it. Um, you'll find that like in psychoneuroimmunology,
Hmm.
PNI is what you might find that in, which is literally the study of the way that you're thinking and the effects on the immune system, and because they could
Right.
see it, right? Like so, but there are other parts within the industry that haven't yet connected it. But I feel like it can be challenging in some places simply because of function, right? But and with that, I'm just thinking, well, that just means that maybe there's more training that's needed. So things such as they're going in for an imaging done, right? Or some
Hmm.
type of scan. And let's just say the tech might see something and they already have somebody that could be very nervous. That's an emotional part of it, right? And then for them to try to maintain, like they're trying to be very stoic, they're trying to be guarded, like they don't want, because they can't read it. That has to go, somebody else has
Right.
to read it.
Right.
So, but like that whole training of just how do you manage with even with these emotions, like just honoring that that's somebody who legit is very scared about what's being seen
Right.
and all of them. We have all those questions, and so it's like even those little parts like that are ways that we can like honor the emotional aspects. I've been to some I've been to some places where with my mom and I'm like sometimes and I mean I get it, like it might be the predominating practicing religion, but like you got to be careful because sometimes some of them are like bless you or many blessings or prayers and stuff, and like she accepts it because that's what she practices, but
Right.
but
Right.
I will say that like if there is a way, like could that be something that we start adding into forms for people? Like, if that's something that they might find comforting, if they
Right.
are doing these scary things, like, you don't have to believe it, but simply just saying a phrase that they might be aware of and that they know and they accept,
Right.
that has changed the game, like, for many people, right? And I know this is tricky. We have such a diverse and rich like cultural ecosystem here,
Right.
which it's like you really got to be careful. You can't just go and look at somebody and then just automatically assume
Listen. Hmm.
anything.
Right.
Which is why I'm a big proponent of put a little thing on a form, like let them
Right.
tell you, like declare it. But yeah, like that's something that I really would like to see more of is just that emotional intelligence there.
Right. Right.
That within the industry, and I will say too, even even educating patients on patience, because a lot of those people that you're interacting with are swamped, and It's a lot of the times it's not that they are trying to dismiss you or anything like that. And I'm not saying that that does not happen because the gaslighting and the dismissiveness does happen.
Yeah.
Just don't, what I'm saying is just don't assume that that's what somebody's automatically doing, which is
Okay.
a lot of what's happening now. And because it's like it just creates tension and creates temper flare ups and all of that.
Right.
So it's like if you feel like wherever you're at, that's just you're not vibing with it, see if you can go somewhere else and see if that vibes with you.
Yeah.
And I say that because it does really affect telomere stuff. Because
Yeah.
if it's going to create internal stress, guess what? Like now we
Right.
got cortisol pumping. Now we got like we got estrogen fluctuations, and then we got all this inflammation that's happening, and then all of a sudden your telomere test is like, oh, you 92. So like, it's kidding. It's not really gonna say it like that. But you get what I'm saying? Like if
Right.
you're constantly kind of exposing yourself to those stressful types of environments and then also monitoring yourself
Right.
and how you are possibly engaging or enabling it, it may not be helping you,
Right.
right? In the process. So like just kind of being open to if there's other options or choices.
Okay. So I want to build on that a little bit. So most of us only think about inflammation when we're injured or we're sick. What about something called low grade inflammation? Can you explain what it is and why it becomes such a concern as we move through midlife?
Yeah. So my best way to explain this is, and I mentioned it earlier, like kind of like consider yourself like terrain. Let's just say that you're walking out, you're in a grassy area. And have you ever been out in a grassy area? And then even if it's at a park,
Hmm.
but as you pull up, you can see where people have walked or where they run, right?
Right. Hmm.
Because you're going to see the blades of the grass would have gone out to the sides. You might even not even see grass now in that part. You're going to see more dirt and sand and stuff, right?
Right.
That repetitive, like stressor, would have created the pathway for
Hmm.
it. Nature's responding to it. Okay. The way for it to come back is they'll say, hey, y'all, we're not going to run, we're not going to walk down this pathway anymore. And they'll either allow nature to regenerate in that spot or they're going to support it by resodding.
Okay.
Think about yourself as that way.
Okay.
So, is as the terrain of you is exposed repeatedly to various things, whether it's things that you're watching, whether it's things that you're smelling, things that you're inhaling, things that you're eating, right? If the internal body does not have what it needs to be able to process it and allow it to go through, digest, do its separation of where it needs to go, all of optimal functioning, including what did we say at the top, right? It does its function and then it's programmed to die. So it's programmed to go ahead and move on. And then the other is allowed to come in. If we are not allowing that to happen and or equipping the terrain with what it needs for that process to happen functionally and optimally, then we could end up with low grade inflammation. So we might have inflammation and that's okay. I and a lot of what people might come across, cortisol is considered the demon and like estrogen too, like, right? And actually, we need it. Like, if we didn't need it, we wouldn't have it,
Right.
right?
Right.
What it is that we're looking at is how well is it functioning? So if you were to go and be exposed to something, I'd want my cortisol to kick in. I don't know about you, but I'd
Right.
want it to kick in
Right.
because now all of a sudden my pupils are changing to get better acuity and view of what's going on. Blood flow is going out to my limbs saying, yo, we finna run this or like what, right? Like I'd want it to kick in. I need it to, right? Then when realizing like, oh, nah, we good, we straight. It's like, oh, okay. Now I want it to go down and like, and all the byproducts to process out, which people might notice that. They'll notice like their blood pressure is going to change. And the next thing you know, their urination pattern changes. Why? Because you have hormones that are related to the kidneys, as the kidneys are also related to blood pressure. It's not just your heart, y'all. So this is why they do check in your blood work for kidney function.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yes. So it's like you'll see those changes that'll happen. And remember, I said, I'm looking at what is expressing from the body because it's serving as a reflection.
Okay.
And remember, I noted urine being one
Right.
of them,
Right.
right? So you're looking at that and you're assessing the way that you're breathing, right? You're looking at even body tissue. Like, I know I'm cushiony. It's been very stressful these past few years for me. So I was expecting kind of it to happen. And sure, I can go and change and try to do all the things like, but it needs to mentally and emotionally process for me. And so getting myself prepared for being able to process and is what I'm using. Like I'm using those tools.
Okay.
And then it makes it easier to do the changes and exercise, to do the eating habit changes because I feel like I can sustain it now.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that's the thing with the silent low grade inflammation. It can show up in your blood work. Some you'll see it. There's a lot of inflammatory markers that are actually in blood work. So you might you can look at your HSCRP. That can be done, but then also your lipid panels can show it, but not just your HDL and LDLs and VDLDLs.
Right.
There's apolipoproteins. So like you want those
Oh,
are smaller, and sometimes if your doc isn't like isn't ordering it, you might have to ask.
okay.
But those can also give you some insight on inflammation that could be going on in the vessels. And so it becomes low grade because it's chronic exposure to stressors.
Oh,
And just like the grass at the park, it's like, ugh, I just haven't had the breaks. I don't have the tools for me to keep up right. Like, I don't,
right.
and so it's just kind of getting by. And so, yeah, you can go about in your life and just be chugging it along, right? But it's silent, right?
Mhm.
And so, but it's there and it's still a bodily response.
So, what are some of the subtle signs of this chronic inflammation, especially since we are talking women 50 and over? What are some of the subtle signs of that chronic inflammation? Because you want to catch it before it turns into something big. So, what should
Yeah.
we be looking for? And I
So
know
I
it's
would,
different for everybody, but some
yeah.
of the basics.
So I would really be looking at, and I'm probably because I'm doing this, so I'm going to say this, your hands and fingers,
Hmm.
and your fingertips, the way that you feel in temperature, and this also includes toes and feet. That, the way that you're circulating blood flow and that warmth can be a sign. Yes, it can be also a sign with the thyroid as well, but the thyroid's also responding to low grade inflammation. So, what I would like for everybody to understand is you are connected. Like everything is connected. It's not seen in silos. All right.
Hmm.
So, just kind of just understand that, which is why you'll see on those long lists like signs that your thyroid could be low, and then you go and you see signs that your blood pressure is high. They look similar, like right,
Right.
like because you're just so connected.
Right.
And what's coming out in these symptoms is your body's attempt. So trust it. The body is attempting harmony.
So,
Okay.
when you say your hands, what do you mean? Like if they're warm or cold
It
or?
can be warm, it can be cold also.
Okay.
And so you might be feeling colder in the trunk, but you're warm out here.
Oh, okay.
Some of them have colds fingertips, some very cold toes. Sometimes it's the toe, sometimes it's the whole foot. Another would be like taking a look at your bowel movements. Constipation is on the rise, like with a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they're okay with it because they might have actually been experiencing it for a really long time. So yes, to them that is their norm. But if there is constipation, you remember I said like the cells are gonna die and they need a way out. Well,
Mm-hmm.
one of those ways out is going to be through the bowels. And if you're not passing bowels, then what can happen is remember, the body's attempting to maintain harmony. So what'll happen is it's like, okay, we can't get it out through the poop, so it's got to go somewhere. So it'll actively try to store it, and that might get stored in fat.
Oh,
Okay. So that's another thing. It's like, okay, we're going to push it off here. Now, another way that it can store it would be in the joints. And so then that can be like, if it does feel like your joints are stiff or you'll get achy joints. A big one is if for those, so I'm in Florida. So you can hear often like people know when it's going to rain because they'll
right.
get headaches or their body will ache. And that's a different type, but it is a type of, there's more than likely a chronic inflammation, low grade.
Mhm.
And when it got more something else walking on it, aka the weather, that humidity, then they felt it more.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
it's like something will just kind of will happen and then it's just really, really felt. But it was actually kind of going on at a lower level. Another one would be also checking like your mouth. So really taking a look if it's dry mouth that you're experiencing. When's the last time have you actually sat and right before eating noticed if you were even salivating?
Oh.
Digestion
Mm-hmm.
begins with smell.
Mm-hmm.
Smell is one of our fastest intake of senses if you don't want to include the intuitive third eye thing, but like, but it's one of the fastest and it will prompt and activate your saliva
Right.
because as you chew you're beginning digestion in the mouth, right?
Right.
Some people just go and just eat and they're eating very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
so they're taking a lot of air, therefore they're drying out even more,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So you might experience that. Some would say like they could look at their tongue and it's not pink, but it's more red.
What if it's white?
Oh,
What if your
what if
tongue
it's
is
white?
white?
Ooh,
Or
if it's
or
is it
or
a coat?
a coating on it. Yeah.
Okay, so there's one side, or I don't want to say side. So I look at them like this. I love your glasses, by the way. If I had my glasses, I would totally do this. But I look at them as these are my lenses. These are giving me perspective. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you'll have from like Ayurvedic perspective, put those glasses on, right? Even some in functional medicine, put those glasses on. They'd be like, oh, it's how you're digesting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's where you get people suggesting to do tongue scraping. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. If you're tongue scraping, a lot of the times you're not addressing why that coat is there in the first place,
Okay.
which can be coming from the digestive system. Now, it depends on where the coat is. So
Oh.
sometimes the coat is not just in the middle and like a one little strip. And if there is a thin coat that's there, I'm actually thinking that's pretty good because we want it to be a little bit moist and warm in that area. Not too much. It's got to be just right. Like, but if it's a lot, then I'm actually seeing where is the coat lying. Is it a lot more in the back of the tongue? Is it on the sides? Is it on the tip of the tongue? Right. And there's it's so funny that we're talking about this because I was just working on this before we got on. But but that's a way that we'll do tongue analysis and diagnosis is using that. And so sometimes it's caused by coffee. So sometimes it's caused by like literally sluggish digestion,
Okay.
which can be, and if hydrochloric acid might be too low for some people. So they actually are having difficulty digesting. And if that's the case, you can look online for like a simple HCl test to see where you stand with that.
Uh-huh.
But because the HCl is very, we need it. To, like some people, especially at this age, they'll complain about indigestion and heartburn.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they're already on like proton pump inhibitors. They might be using something like Prilosec or whatever,
What's
which
HCl?
HCl is hydrochloric acid.
Oh, you just
So
said,
it's
okay.
yeah. So it's one of them that's in the stomach, and it's meant to literally start like the real intense initial breakdown of foods. So you really want the stomach to actually be acidic, and
Okay.
when you're using things like Prilosec or whatever, it can actually stop that process
Yeah.
and then limit it. So in a way, it's like, yeah, you don't get the burning feeling, but some people still are not processing the food very well, right?
Right.
And actually, the proton pump inhibitors, they were only intended to be used for short term. So some people are still using them after years. If that's one
Ooh.
of you, please talk to whoever suggested it that you use it, and see about how it is that you can come off because like I was saying, that in the stomach, you start like big chains within our food starts getting
Right.
broken down, and other digestive enzymes are also being activated,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be influencing why it is that you're not actually being able to pull out the nutrients from foods that you're eating.
Okay.
So if you're taking Prilosec and stuff like that, and then you're like, well, my B vitamins and like my magnesium, like my potassium, all of these other things, right, that are involved. Sometimes it's that because we just stop the process of what's needed and to be able to start being able to break that stuff down. And so that's one lens that you can take a look at, but you can see that in the tongue too.
So I know my holistic practitioner that I have out here in California, she suggested I start taking acromanasia,
Oh, achromasia.
AKKER. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
I
start
that's
she
how did you
suggests
start?
I did.
How's it going?
I like it. I mean, I do feel a difference in how my food, how I feel after I eat. Because usually I would have a lot of stomach problems. I don't. I mean, I could eat the most blandest stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to eat bland food. I want to eat food that I like. But I find it really helpful. I find it really helpful. So I mean, it's
Awesome.
pricey. I mean, at least out here,
Yeah.
it's pricey, but I find it, I enjoy it. I mean, it's working well for me. So, but
See.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
For
one of the,
some, that's why I say it's all a test. Like you got to just
yeah,
see what's for you. And
right.
for you, that strand may be very low, and that's why it's working so well.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's what happens when it comes to the prebiotics and probiotics because there are just the microbiome, like what's there. There are so many,
right,
right? And there are other tests that you could use that could help in identifying which ones.
right.
I'll tell you that they know that there are certain strains that tend to show up more with people that might be diagnosed with hypertension, those with type
Uh-huh.
2. So you can see that literally the microbiome changes, and then it just so happens that these people are also had been diagnosed with these conditions.
Oh, okay.
So that's why some of the approach is, well, what if we were to replenish to seed and nourish with these bacteria then?
Right,
Does that then change and move them out of hypertension, move them out of type 2, right?
right.
So there is that whole case that's there, but the microbiome itself is like a
Yeah,
huge like study. It's a huge
right.
study, but I'm happy that's working.
So talking about diets, we always hear about the anti-inflammatory diet, but are there other lifestyle triggers? I mean, quality of sleep, we talked about stress, or even toxic relationships that can influence the inflammation?
All of the above.
All the
Yeah.
above. So, and
Yeah.
again, it goes back to if you really think about it, like, because yeah, you think about food and because it goes into your body and blah blah blah, and you think about sleep because we should all know that sleep is vitally important and the
Yeah.
quality of sleep is vitally important and stress. But I guess when you think about toxic relationships,
People don't associate
you
it.
don't really associate with inflammation, but I guess because it's causing stress and you might be causing your quality of sleep to go down. So
Hmm.
that's why it's really so interesting that everything is so interconnected.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say, okay, so couple things I'm going to say real quick. So one is with the sleep, right? So the really cool thing with sleep is what hormones are actually activated and deactivated during sleep. And also during the nighttime, there are certain bacteria that also tend to flourish. And they have a job that go and do things. And it's your reset, like in the brain, a reset, right? So, when it comes to sleep, there are several things going on. We have biorhythms, and there are circadian clocks, like just with the different organ systems and whatnot.
Mhm.
So, like when you think about sleep, you're really looking at, yes, the quality of it, but like how is it? Like, what's going on for you right now? Like, really taking a look at what's happening before you go to sleep. And I don't mean just before, but really paying attention to when you get those initial cues that you might start feeling tired, but you might have dismissed it because it can happen so subtly. The reason why I say this is because melatonin actually begins increasing hours before you would technically go to sleep.
Okay, hold on before you go on. Explain to folks, because we know about the melatonin we take, that folks
Oh,
take. Explain
yeah.
what melatonin is.
So, melatonin is commonly associated with sleep. I'm going to tell you it's associated with other bodily functions, but since we're talking about sleep, we'll stay there for right now. So, it's commonly associated with sleep. It's in the brain, like you is it's in relationship with serotonin as well. You people tend to use the gummies and use the supplements for it to try to get them to get that drowsiness and then be able to go to sleep. I would say go with test it out, just like Angela says, she's testing out the acromancia, right? Test it out and see what happens for you. Some people it works really well, and they'll get the supplements that it's mixed with something else. Personally, anything with melatonin, I have nightmares. And there's plenty of other people that
Oh,
also get nightmares that I've come across.
wow. Okay.
And yeah, and sometimes even with children. So sometimes parents are giving them to the kids or grandkids. In this case, that might be in your audience. And then they don't connect it. Like they would have given them the melatonin and they just think that their kid's just having a nightmare. And then they're just like, oh, just go back to sleep. But it could really be the melatonin that they're responding to.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, so it could be like a legit thing. Like you might want to take a look at that. But with the melatonin, like the production of it and the receptor sites could also just be clouded, like meaning melatonin could be being produced, but the receptor sites aren't seeing it.
Okay.
And so that could be a part of it. That also goes with any of the hormones. They're messengers. So, an issue with a hormone could not necessarily just be on production. It actually could be at a receptor site. And that receptor site already has somebody in that parking spot. So, it can't accept it. Like for real. Like you'll read about it like there's competing it's I don't want to say competing, but like that's the word that's coming out right now. But yes, at the receptor sites, is sometimes for some of them, it's not just for one thing. It's actually for several things. And so if it does have somebody in that parking spot, and even though the body's trying to send that message, oftentimes you'll see this with type 2, that it's sending the message like insulin has been pumped out. It's just the receptor site it's already blocked. It's already there's something in the parking spot. So that can happen, right? So with the melatonin, like, yes, it's something that's commonly associated with sleep. It does play a role with other things in the body. And it will oftentimes increase, it starts increasing hours before we're supposed to be going to sleep.
Okay.
And it actually starts dropping hours before you wake. So this is why when you're going on a sleep adventure, is what I'm going to call it, as to why is this insomnia kind of off. Like, hey, why is this happening? I'm inviting you to explore it from all around. So you're going to be looking at what are you doing like 3 hours before, okay, before you're intended to go to sleep, and then just kind of seeing like what's happening. Did you feel it? Did you feel like you started blinking a little bit more slowly or something like that? Did you notice this is the time of year, we're in October, right? So the time change is happening. I'm one of those people that's sensitive to it. And so I've already noticed that my sleeping is changing. Like I'm waking up differently. And then I'm beginning to feel like I want to go to sleep earlier. That means let me go ahead and see what I can adjust, right? Like, oh,
Say,
you're muted.
I was
Oh,
like right now, I'm like going, it's 4 o'clock. I am getting kind of sleepy.
yeah. And I will tell you, like, because we're talking about the inflammation, like, how could we, like, what are we doing that could be adding into it? It's things like that. And the challenge that we have, and this is why I'm like, we're navigating life, is that what are you in environments, whether that's work, family, social, or whatever, that would allow you to be able to adjust your life due to that? So are you able to, like, even if it's like school, because sometimes those 50 plus will go to school and start studying something different and new, right? Like, are you in places where it can, you have that ability to literally adjust your lifestyle to accommodate for these natural biorhythms?
Okay.
So, can I get up to go to the bathroom when I feel that urge? Can I go ahead and go to sleep at the time I know that I'm already feeling it? If
Hmm.
I and you'll hear the stories. If I miss my window for me to go to sleep at this time, Lord have mercy, it take me about 2 hours to go to sleep. So like so that's real. Like it really is happening. It's telling you like what is actually happening with all of the hormones that are involved in that. Things, the cortisol too, which is why when you do cortisol tests, you're doing a series of tests at different times, because they're seeing where it is supposed to peak and then also where it's supposed to come down and if that's happening or not. So like this is the thing though, even with any of the tests, you have to have the conversation with yourself as to why you're choosing to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's it. Like we're just exploring that because and there's a lot of reasons why stuff might come out as to why that's happening. They've always been a light sleeper. Well, then you find out that they were in a neighborhood where they heard gunshots all throughout the night,
Mm-hmm.
or their parents were arguing all throughout the night.
Okay.
There were possibly experiences of abuse, and all of that actually carried over into adulthood. So, but through my lens, it's like, oh, it's a hypervigilant state. It's not just going to show up in sleep. You might start telling me about your back pain. You might start telling me, yes, you're sleepy, but you might have had troubled menstrual cycles also.
Mm.
There might have been issues with fertility, right? There might have been digestive issues and a lot of cramping, possibly some pain. So it's like the body's going to speak just how well it is able to actually process and deal with some of the things that just because linear time has passed, the it's how is it that that behavior that you learned at that time you're still doing it now,
Okay.
you know? So yeah, that all contributes to inflammation. That's why like inflammation is like a catch-all term to me. It's like inflammation is just stagnation. That's like in Chinese medicine. It's like, oh, stagnation. Chi stagnates, blood stagnates, like all of it stagnates. And now you got lymphatic people, like the lymph is all stagnating. You got to move it all. It's like, yeah, everything's got to move.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about the gut brain connection. So, can you walk us through how the gut actually communicates with the brain and why the connection becomes so important as we age?
Okay, so different looks at this. One might be the bacteria. The presence of certain bacteria and parasites can actually play a role into how it is that you think. And so there is that. There is
Wait,
also,
wait, wait. You said, wait, say that again. You said parasites can have an impact on how you think.
yes.
How you know if you have parasites?
Oh Lord, that's such a deep question. So
Sorry. I'm just saying, I'm thinking, do I need to do a parasite cleanse? I tried once and that crap was nasty as hell. I'm like, I can't drink this. I can't do it. I guess that little parasite's gonna keep living.
it's just gonna stay. Like,
And then
like,
I tried to get hubby to do it. And he's like, I'm not drinking that shit. I'm not drinking it. I'm
was
sorry.
it bitter? Was it really bitter?
Yes, it was awful. It was a tea that I had to supposed to drink. No, I was like, there has
Yeah.
to be a better way.
Because, okay, so with the bitter, and this is something I learned when studying herbs. Um, Most people don't realize this. Bitter receptor sites is actually the most predominating taste throughout our digestive tract.
Mm,
So yeah, and it's because it's like that bitter movement with herbs. Um, it helps with literally like with moving, with draining, with like getting a lot of the functions actually happening throughout the system. Some would even tie like link it to the liver as a bitter being associated with wood and the wood phase and things like that. And so I will say going through school, it really changed the way that I thought about tastes and the difference between taste and flavors. So I just we had to taste our herbs, so I got used to it. And so I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And the thing is after you do it for so long, and tell me if this happened with you, but you know how you might like change the way that you're eating, and then like all of a sudden you're not eating the same things.
mm,
And then let's just say, oh, when people are like, I am going to go ahead and have that piece of cake, you know? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I taste so much chemicals, or like this don't even taste right, right?
yes, yes,
Remember I said the cells, you're constantly regenerating.
yeah.
So even on your tongue, those tongue receptors are regenerating. And so therefore, they're picking up on like they'll change as you eat. And so when people can at least like I'm like, just give it some time. Even if you gotta dilute it a little bit. Prefer for me, I prefer tinctures because with tinctures, it's usually just like 1 to 2 dropperfuls, put it under my tongue, take it back. Like I'm good. Like that's my thing. Some would prefer the making it as a tea and infusion using granules or something like that. I'll do that if I have to, but like my preference really is tinctures. And for those that have that taste aversion, I usually say let's go tincture, because I'm like at least that way, just take it, just
Well,
take
then
it back, you know, like
I'll have to get some tincture information from you because I can't do that tea. I tried. But I'm
yeah,
sorry,
like
we got off
you do that.
topic. So,
But the
so,
parasites, they can like they and this is why sometimes with like people who end up doing something like they might do a parasite like detox or something like that,
mhm,
they might report that they're not as foggy headed anymore. They can actually think more clearly. The anxiety has decreased, the depression has gone away. So like these are like self reports.
okay.
And so I would say don't put it past that there could be some parasites there. You ask, how would you know? I mean, it's just like what I was saying earlier, like something that says like, oh, signs of low thyroid, signs of high blood pressure, and they could be kind of like the same. Um, like it's the same with parasites. Like it's gonna be the fogginess. Sometimes it's the anxiety. Sometimes it's depression. Sometimes it's bloating. Sometimes it's menstrual cycle changes. It's so really anything there could be, and because there's so many different types, that it could be present. And that adds to a low grade inflammation because some of them would have built their cocoon around them to be able to fly under the radar of
Mhm.
your immune system. And
Oh,
meanwhile, if they can actually, what they're trying to do is control the way that your body is coded to tell it like what to eat. Like, oh, I need this nutrient. So you'll want all the sweets because it's using it to survive within you and its biofilm, right?
okay.
Now, in Chinese medicine, what they saw it as was Gu syndrome is what it's called. And so it'd be like we would use damp herbs, damp relieving herbs and transformation
Mhm.
herbs. But it's very similar. Like I saw the connections between the sides and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is interesting. Because a lot of those phlegm misting things are the same things you was used for a parasite cleanse. Like what? Like, so, and in other countries, they periodically do a parasite cleanse because they know that they're exposed to it. Like, but in the States, not as much. But you can go and speak to some that are in the Caribbean or from Latin America, and like they'll some of them report like, oh yeah, we had to do this like when we were younger. But I have
Yeah.
come across some that are here, and I talked to my mom about this, and she like, oh yeah, every once in a while we had to take that castor oil, like right,
Yes.
like
My
or
mom
something.
used to say that well, when we were growing up, she said, I'll never give that to my kids. But yeah, she took it, they took it daily
Daily.
when my mother was younger. Yeah. Yeah. And I tried to take castor. I couldn't get it down. It wouldn't go down. I tried. It was like, nope.
Nope.
Now
It
go.
ain't happening.
I did with the lemon. They said, well, try with lemon juice. Mm-mm. Wasn't.
Like
I,
those kids, they'd be like, no, like, I get it. But yeah, that's a way that there is that gut brain connection is through the
oh,
microbiome itself. And microbiome is inclusive of bacteria, fungi, and then also like parasites, which some even put as a parasite, some bacteria and some fungi, viruses are actually included in that because the what makes something a parasite is that it needs a host
right.
to be able to live, right?
Hmm.
And so that's the cases of viruses. Like they need a host.
Right.
And so like it's not just worms, y'all, it's not just flukes. It could be viruses, it could be other bacteria too. Um and so that's a way that it can do that. And I will say too that there's a heart brain connection also. And then that's when it is that you how I know that's activated is when people talk about like they could be feeling sad or if they're angry or if they're anxious. And then there's certain foods that they start reaching for. And it's like you're nourishing your heart,
Okay.
and they do see the similar cells that are in the heart cells in the
Mhm.
brain as well.
Oh,
So, yeah. So
okay.
that's Heart Math Institute has talked about that too. But if that's something, so that's why it's like, if we can like nourish the heart and like heart shock is a big thing for me in contemporary Oriental medicine, and so that's where it is that I look at like, oh, how is it that we're addressing that traumatic experiences and processing it because that does affect the brain in the way of not just how we think and what we're thinking, but even in the aging
Hmm.
of the brain. So like the connections between the parts, but then the connections left to right is also a big thing. And you can
Okay.
support that with binaural beats.
Hmm.
So that might be something that some people are that they want to try and like just experiment with the different hertz to
Yeah.
see your response to them.
Oh, I love
Um,
them. I love them. That puts me to sleep. Oh,
have you heard of sync tuition?
no.
So sync to it's like literally sync. Tuition. It was an app, and like it's just so cool because you build up in levels.
Oh,
And yeah, and it uses your own, like it uses tones of your voice as well to be able to encode it, and then they're binaural, so they are playing but then crossing over as you go
yeah.
into the different levels. It's really cool.
Sync tuition or
Yeah.
sync intuition or sync tuition.
Sync tuition.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's an app, you said?
Hmm.
Okay. I'll have to look it up because, yeah, that puts me to sleep. That's my best sleep. That is my best sleep. Um,
I start dreaming up a storm sometimes. I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, okay. I'm a dream walker though, so like that
oh,
sometimes that can like, yeah, I might still wake up rested. It's just that I know I just had a whole movie play out, like of things going on.
wow.
And so like in my head.
Wow. So, what are some everyday habits that quietly damage our gut and even our mental health?
I would say, okay, so like, because we're talking about food, that's one of the things, but really taking a look at how, right? So like, are you rushing through it? Can you slow it down, even if it's just for one meal every other day, right? Where is it that you could connect with that food? Where can you allow yourself to smell it? Where can you allow yourself to visually look at it? And something even as small as like 30 seconds, like 30, 45 seconds of just kind of staring and being with it, seeing what happens, right? Another one that I think that also affects is where. So like how, like where are you engaging, right? What's your community?
Hmm.
So really looking at its community, like your unity, you're unitizing over something. And so asking yourself, where are you unitizing with these other people? And does that go along with the direction that you would like to have for your life? So like we were saying with those centenarians, right? Like, am I going to continue to commiserate with people in my real life, like in the 3D world, about certain things? And am I going to do that in the digital world? And then see what happens for you.
Right.
Like, so I would say take an assessment of those types of environments. If you find that you want to shift it, shift it. Open yourself up to something else, right? And another one would be the habits versus rituals. Are you being asked to ritualize versus to habitualize?
Mm. Okay.
To really infuse intention into your daily life.
Okay.
And how does that show up? So I would say like those are a few of the a few of the things that I would take note of.
Okay. So, if
Oh,
someone was dealing with mood swings or brain fog, what's the first gut health step you'd recommend they explore?
I would actually ask them for about a period of 3 or 4 days just to write down what they're eating and drinking and when.
Okay.
And what I'm looking for is, I'm not looking for what. Like, I mean, I am, but it's not just that. What I'm looking for is when.
Okay.
And it's also a reflection for them. So they might find out that they're actually not eating very much. They're not eating frequently.
Hmm.
So they may be compounding and eating a lot and heavier at one part of the day,
Hmm.
which is, and I'm gonna tell y'all this because it's annoying to me, but like this blood sugar thing, like your blood sugar, it can go up and down. Like you just don't want it to be drastic, but it's just like any other hormone. It needs to ebb and flow. It's responding to what's going on. This is why you don't even have to eat anything and your blood sugar will go up because you're responding to stress.
Oh.
So that's why when some people in the seat, they're wearing their CGMs and stuff, and I'm like, oh dear, like, and they only think it's about food, and it's like, no, ask yourself, what are you responding to that is literally activating your stress response? And
Wow.
so, yeah, like it's very fascinating to me. But like you want to like take a look at that whenever you do your diary,
Hmm.
food and drink diary. And I also say drink because I'm like one of the people that my husband calls it my entourage, my drink entourage, because I'll have like 3 or 4 drinks and something things kind of going on. but like, but like, are you are you finding that you're predominantly leaning towards one type of beverage than another? And is that happening at a certain time of day or not? And when is that happening? So, like, is it happening in a mid-afternoon slump? That you're feeling tired, and instead of grabbing like something food wise, you might be grabbing coffee, right? So that'll do more of a spike and then drop later. And then that's when you'll go and binge, like you'll might eat a lot later on in the day. And
Right.
then that's when you can ask, like, so when you do the food thing, then like you put that against what was on your calendar
Hmm.
and then see where you could see how your eating and drinking pattern might actually be in response to your calendar versus your calendar being in response to your needs, your nourishment needs.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think that's when people do report like that foggy headedness sometimes it really is simply like in the way that they're eating. I'm not necessarily what. Like I'm and yes, what
Mhm.
can play a role,
Right.
but when trying to make changes, sometimes it's actually easier for people to change the how rather than the what. And then once we change the how, then we can start to like fine tune it by looking at the what. And so there's different ways that you can look at that. Like there's the Chinese medicine food therapy wise way, once looking at your landscape of the organ systems. Some do it. There's another test that I've done that is a blood test. That one was really cool by Excella. And that one looks at your look at some bacteria and their metabolites and make suggestions that way. So there's all sorts. HTMA is another one that I'll do. So that
Hmm.
one's looking at minerals. And so the minerals can be playing a role into the foggy headedness and the way and all of that too. But once again, even just looking at the way that you're eating throughout the day could be letting you know how it is that the minerals are also being used. And then that'll help paint like more of a nuance as to what could be coming out when you do an HTMA analysis.
Okay. So if you,
You're a big old like I call us a big old spider web. Like
it is. No, it really is. And there is no one size fits all. And
right.
that's what I really enjoy when we're talking, or even when I go to my own holistic health practitioner, because everybody's body is so different, you know, what works for one person is not going to work for another, and you can't just say, okay, take this supplement and I'm giving you, giving someone else the same supplement, because you're right, we have different ways of living, we have different stressors, we have, we're in different age groups. I mean, there's just so many things at play that,
Yeah.
it's just not easy to say, okay, well, this will work for you, and that'll work for Tom, and it's just, that's why I find it so fascinating, just listening to you and hearing the different modalities and the way you work with your own clients,
Yeah.
and
Like I said,
helping them.
they're just little glasses. That's what I
All
was
right.
saying. Like they're just
Yeah.
I want to put the glasses on and I like telling people like this is why I'm suggesting this and why I encourage you learning it for yourself because
Right.
my whole intention is to educate for you to advocate. Like
Right.
I want you to just know and you have sovereign choice. So where in the
Right.
healthcare medical system that's a big thing that's being asked of, it's being demanded is like to honor like how can the relationships
Yeah.
between those who are coming in for guidance and the ones who have this knowledge, like to be working well together. But
To
at the
get
end of the
right.
day, it's understanding like the patients coming in, they have choice.
Right.
And and
Right.
so like it's instead of that whole superior, like the
Right.
provider was more
Exactly.
superior, it's seeing that no, I want you to learn, here are the tools, here are the ways that you can actually assess your own body.
Right.
So then that way when you go to someone on your care team, you are equipped with, this is what's happening. This is what'll be going on when this is happening. And
Right.
this is how my body's responding to it. What can you offer? Like,
Right.
like
Right.
coming from that position to me feels more empowering.
Yes.
So that you can see that, oh, I just need to know, how do I learn more about myself? And I, like we were saying with this age group, a lot of it is actually reframing the relationship with themselves
Yeah.
to be able to open themselves up to obtain this information, because so
Yeah.
much of the time has been to dissociate just to get by,
Right.
or to dissociate for my children to
Right.
get through school, or to dissociate dealing with a an arduous marriage or whatever, right? So
Right.
like
Sick parents, at this, are, dealing with their own
our
parents
own
and stuff.
parents,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is just a place where I'm like, come in as neutral and non-judgmental as possible. We're gonna put our glasses on, the different ones. Is it a cat eye or whatever? And just see that it's just, we're putting that on just to gain perspective. And then from that perspective, what can we learn from that? What's the insight? And then what can we do with that information that we have now?
Exactly. So, if you had to design a holistic anti aging lifestyle plan for women over 50, what three daily practices would you make non negotiable?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Uh, okay, so this just popped up and it comes from it's like the three. I'm thinking about like the three treasures in Chinese medicine. So I'm thinking about like spirit, and then man or woman, and earth. So I would say something that would connect you to spirit in whatever way that is. It's this, and when I say spirit, it's the sense of this outer connectedness to others outside of yourself. Human and non-human, right? Like it could be animals that people connected to. But then also a practice for the nourishment of the physical. So what nourishment would that be? And it could be something simple as, I feel the urge to go pee. I'm actually going to go pee. I'm not going to hold it. Right? Like, because we know that there are some that be like, oh, I can't go right now. I can't, like that, out of embarrassment, or their type of job that they have, they can't, like, right. So, but something even as simple as that. And then earth. So is that just like, sometimes for me, I can just sit in the car with the window down. And because I'm just wanting to be out in the sunlight, or I want to just stare out of a window looking at the trees and the limbs moving.
Yes.
So it's a three-parter. So it's that connected into spirit, some way, somehow, something that's going to nourish the woman, the physical, and then something that's going to be like ground, like earthy.
Okay. Okay. I like the one of my husband and I go for a walk sometimes, and something about palm trees. I just love palm trees and the way they move, especially the real tall, skinny ones, because there's so many type of palm trees, and the way they just move. I'm like, I could just sit there and watch palm trees move, and it's just so relaxing and so grounding for me. So
You would love driving across this bridge that's by me then. It's just lined with
palm trees.
palm trees. So when I got to make that almost hour long drive, I focus on that part of the trip on the palm trees because they're just
Yeah,
right there on the water. And yeah, oh,
man.
I'm like, y'all are
Ah,
just so strong. I be talking to them sometimes on driving, like, y'all so strong. Like, I mean, you up that high and you ain't fall over. Like
right,
it's
right. If someone feels overwhelmed with one What's one small daily action that could have the biggest ripple effect on aging well?
If someone's feeling overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say to choose one thing that you want to address. I know that all my answers were pretty much talking about the connections and the complexities. And because of that, even if you choose one thing, it will have that butterfly effect.
Okay.
So and I would say choose the thing that looks like it's the most simplest,
Okay.
and then you'll gain momentum, basically.
So don't
And
try and
plus,
take on too many things at once. Focus on one thing at a time.
yeah,
Okay.
and allow it to seed and take root,
Right.
right?
Right.
So sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it might be 14, sometimes it might be 21.
Yeah.
Just see how you do with that one thing. And that seems like it's the easiest for you to implement. And then go from there. Make your observations of how things had changed and then be like, oh, okay, comment on this video and let us know. And then let us know what your next one is. You
Right.
might find somebody else who wants to do that and they might be your buddy. So,
I
you
also
know,
say give yourself grace,
grace.
even if that one thing, exactly, even if that one thing, you know, doesn't pan out the way you thought it would, find something else, but give yourself grace for even trying. You know,
Hmm.
we're so hard on ourselves, and I can attest to that. We're so hard on ourselves.
Hey,
So,
I'm a Virgo rising, so yeah, that's like part of our nature. Like I'm always looking for improvements. Like that
but then
even
we,
I do have to sometimes just have I I call them like micro celebrations, and so like just like a mini party. So like
yeah,
there are those times if I do find that I'm in that loop in that headspace,
yeah,
that I will be like, okay, so every day before I go to sleep, like I'm celebrating something. And
yeah,
it's like, shoot, I'm celebrating it. We switched them dishes out today. That was great. Like it can be some of the most silliest things, but like I said, it's those things actually are playing because they're in your environment. You're responding to it. So
yeah,
even just, seeing the pile of dishes can be a stressor for you. So like saying to yourself, yep, I'm gonna get the dishes done like every day for a week or every other day for a week.
yeah,
And then let's just see how it goes and see. And that could be something that's so simple, but it will decrease. You're going to go through that. You're going to go through the motions of the micro stressor because you are doing something to change.
mm.
And then what'll happen is it's like, oh, okay, cool. That is done. And then you feel that peace.
Right. You
And then,
celebrate the small wins.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't do enough of that. Again, I can attest to that. I gotta start doing that. I'm sitting here saying that's what we need to do. I need to start doing that as well. Celebrating the small wins.
Hmm. Give
Yeah,
them a name. Like, like I was calling them a micro celebration. Call
yeah,
them like a mini party. Like,
right,
like it just
exactly.
do what you do, something that you love doing. Like, you be like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's my celebration song. And then like, or something that you love, just
exactly.
do it and celebrate yourself and
Exactly.
have somebody that's in your back pocket, maybe that like you can share that with. Like, so maybe it's a group text that is like one day we're sharing something that we're micro celebrating because then on those days when you might stop yourself from doing it, just simply, once again, community. Who are you unitizing with? What is your common like goal, right? So
Yeah,
like maybe you just create that group of, it can be just like one other person.
right,
It can be two other people
right.
and you're just doing your micro celebrations and being in that space and being like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can do this. And I did do this.
Exactly.
So helpful.
Exactly. Well, Thank you so much, Denicia. Every time you come on, I'm like, yes, I love. I mean, we could talk to another hour, but I'm gonna respect everybody's time here. But so every choice, what we eat, how we move, how we rest, shapes how we age. So, Denicia has given us a lot of information. Some of it probably went over everybody's head like mine, but it's still information that is needed for us to age well. So, thank you guys for joining us. I will have Denicia's information in the description below if want to go and check her out on her own channel. Do you still have your channel? Yes and no?
So as those episodes come out, they're fed over there, like it's connected to a feed over
Okay.
there. Yeah. Um, so it's at it's the perfect playground is the name of
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I will have it in the description below for you guys to check her out because she has a wealth of information and she's obviously very knowledgeable. So, thank you guys for joining us. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and also check me out on Spotify. So, we'll see you guys again real soon. Thank you. Bye.